I'm Todd Chambers. I'm with MKSD Architects. We're an Allentown architectural firm, and we've developed a little bit of a niche for pool projects, specifically public pool. We've done a handful of pools across the state of Pennsylvania, and we've also focused on pool studies, pool feasibility studies. We team with Councilman Hunsaker. This is George Dinas from Councilman Hunsaker. They're an international aquatics firm. They do pool projects all over the United States, actually all over the world. So they bring a great deal of expertise to the aquatic component of these aquatic centers for our team. So why we're here tonight is to hear how can we make the Harrisburg pools a better place for everybody who uses them. Really we want to get public input and feedback on what's important. George is going to go over modern aquatic amenities. I'm sure everybody knows about all the water parks and how swimming really as an activity has changed dramatically in the past 40 to 50 years since when these pools were built, so they're not really purpose-built for today's aquatic activities. So that's really kind of it in a nutshell. I guess to touch on the process a little bit, we're going to take what we hear tonight, and we're going to meet with the pool committee and determine what are three options that we'd like to see explored for the replacement or renovation of the two pools, Jackson Lick and Manor Hall. And then we're going to come back and present those options to the public. Hopefully we have more people at the next group. Not that I'm sure you don't have a lot to tell us, but it's good when we have a whole lot of people. So we'll get feedback and refine those options and move the study a little bit further forward. So at the end, we'll have a report that outlines how to move forward with addressing the aging pools. George?
Yeah, so I guess the biggest thing is, number one, thanks for being here. And we won't keep it too long. There's a little keep it out here, but looking at our process and reviewing the condition of the existing pools, being built in the 60s, so 50 plus years old, we would say that the typical outdoor pool would have a 25 to 35 year lifespan. So those have doubled that lifespan and have served the community well. From our initial assessment, there's not a lot that you can salvage from them, primarily because just codes have changed, whether it's ADA accessibility standards, whether it's the type of piping and pumps and filtration and chemical controllers that you use. And so what we are looking at is trying to figure out what is the best approach, and we'll come back with several different options, to look at what a facility could look like or should look like. But we want to make sure that it looks like what the community wants it to look like. We want to make sure that the Harrisburg residents get to pick, and have input into what it looks like and how big it is and who it serves. And typically we see that people go to an aquatic facility for one of four reasons. It's either for recreation, for instruction, swim lessons, competition, swim team, water polo, swim meets, that sort of thing, or wellness and therapy, whether it's just general lap swimming or it's the Aquazuma class that you attend. Those are pretty much the four primary reasons that folks go to an aquatic facility. And so we want to make sure that the facilities that that we come back and show different ideas for, that they incorporate whichever of those four groups, or hopefully all of those groups, that the city would like to see in a facility. So really we'd like to just hear your thoughts on how you use the pools now, how you would like them to be used, and what you'd like to see in the new facilities. So obviously we know that whether it's a water amenity, maybe it's a nice-sized water slide. We're not talking big, Hershey Park type stuff here. We're talking, but we can incorporate some of the things, on a smaller scale. And so, it's not going to be a Six Flags or a Wet n Wild type facility, but it could have, more modest-sized swimming, slides or diving boards or designated children's areas. The top pools now have really seen their last day, and so we could do something with the little top pools. But it's really about listening to you and answering any questions you may have, but trying to figure out what you'd like to see in the facility, or what you've heard. If we heard at our last meeting that people liked the little buffalo pool and some of the different amenities there, and so I'd like to hear from you. What you'd like to see in the facility, and what you consider success for this project. Maybe 15, 20 years looking back on it. How can we make sure that this is a successful project?
So which street are we talking about?
So we're talking about Jackson Lick and Hall Manor.
Both of them?
Yeah, both of them were built about the same time. Pretty much it was, hey, we're going to build one pool on this side of town and one pool on this side of town. And that was pretty much the common model back then. One pool for every 20,000 residents. So now we see it a little bit differently. If we still see a lot of 2-pool or 3-pool cities that are the size of Harrisburg, but sometimes they look a little different. Maybe you go a free splash pad on the north side of town, and on the southeast side of town or southwest side of town you do a smaller community pool, and then in the center of town you do a large pool that everybody goes to. But then maybe you have a north, a south, east and west. There's a lot of different ways to tackle it, but from what we've heard so far, it seems like 2 pools are still needed, and that those sites, historically have been the sites, and that'd be kind of tackle our first run would probably be to look at the 2 sites, but we're still, taking feedback on. Our last meeting, we heard 2 pools at the existing sites, but we also know that sites are limited. It has to be, if it's going to be a different site, we have to know it's got to be somewhere that the city owns land and can build a pool, and so that kind of would be a limiting factor, I would say.
One more thing. Who's the pool? You said you had to take the ideas back to the pool committee. Who's the pool committee?
My name is Sheila Mosley, the park pool committee.
Yeah, so it was Parks and Rec. It was Sasha and Kevin from Parks and Rec, Wayne from city planning. Is he a city or
Engineer.
Engineer, that's it. Yep.
No one, I don't know if you work for the city or not.
No, I don't work for the
Okay,
city.
you just,
I'm the daycare director.
You're welcome to join. We didn't have a person in yet. So if you can give me your name and number out.
Kevin has
For her?
Yeah.
No, I know it's for her, but if you want to go me.
No, I was just wondering if I wanted to make sure people from the community were on the pool committee.
I was on the city.
Well, since I wasn't at first meeting, is there a real need and only somebody from council or maybe you, Barb, do you really think that there's a real need for 2 pools?
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll make up my sugar.
I would probably say
Population's too big to.
I would probably say the need for 2 pools based upon the size of the lots that they're on. So, like usually, based upon like Jackson Lick is a good sized pool, but the surrounding areas is small. Like, there's not a lot of land space around there. There's not really too much area for it to really grow. Really, the biggest space where there is land area where the pool is currently located is at Hall Manor. So there's a possibility of where that pool can expand to different things, but usually pools that I've seen that are like have communities where maybe they have that big centralized pool, it's like I would say they have more land space to do things with, as far as like, maybe like a basketball area, seating area, different pool sites. You see what I'm saying? Where it's a lot more things that can go on. So unless probably the city looks at other land options of building like a bigger facility like that, I think just the pure of just saying off an existing site, shutting down one pool and just saying, hey, this is going to be our only pool where it's currently located. I don't know how that's going to mix as far as,
Well, I guess what I would like to see is like, what have been the numbers over the last 5, 10 years that would dictate we still need to have 2 pools? Because it could be like, you know, we still need to have 2 pools because we just want to have 2 pools. But what are the numbers saying that says we need to have 2 pools?
and I think
Because the only reason why I'm asking that, because he had made mention about 4 things that I would like to see is one big pool. Like as I travel across the river and I look over near the West Shore Country Club, I'm like, wow, look at that.
Yeah.
We need something like that over here. Now, do we have to have 2 of the wow, look at that? But we need to have one hell of a one, wow, look at that, over here.
I think probably the other factor in probably overall determinant, and then I'm just going to be quiet, kind of like taking their time. You know what you guys think? Yeah. Probably overall
This is a good
determinant too is
conversation.
like with this, the concept of pools too. So you think of everything that comes with having a aquatic facility. One is park. So let's just say if we take what's at Jackson Lake right now, say we want to expand. There's like I said before, there's not a lot of land to kind of expand in the way we see other pools. Like if you go to Hampton Pool has tons of parking. It has tons of kind of
But it's
playgrounds.
also right next to
The school.
The school,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
playground,
exactly.
you know, but that's not here. But also that, wow, look at that,
Mhm.
when you're in the Colonial Park area. Now you see the parking is just horrible
Yeah,
there.
like Devon Shop.
But
Yeah.
it's, you know,
Yeah, and then another part about it to evaluate is, and this is where they'll kind of come in and weigh in, is, you know, the cost of building a brand, let's say we start off with flat land, and we say, hey, this is the perfect site, perfect parking, we got everything we need. That cost of building that brand new pool, it sometimes can go anywhere from like $7 to $8 million. In comparison to, I don't know what number they're going to spit out to say, to renovate our pool. It could cost the same thing, I don't know. And I think that's the importance of
Well,
whatever the study could be.
The question is your $8 million better spent in one facility, you know, that's a modern
look at that.
aquatic facility, right? Or are you spending 3 or 4 at each of the sites and you're getting, yeah, right.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I would rather, wow, look at that, because I just think well, my sister and I last year, we had the opportunity to do 1 or 2 classes at, the Hall Band of Pool. When it comes, if you try to do any type of classes, people do not want to come out here. It was just like and it had more of, I love the way the pool was, but it was what you had to get through to get to the pool. It was like, I can't do that. And the whole time they're in there, they're worried about the cars, and all that other kind of stuff, and it was just way too much. So they were like, can you all just take it back and say after this? So you have to look at who's all coming.
Mhm.
I know it's pretty cool, and really want to, keep first and foremost the residents of the city, in mind, but not everybody lives in the city, and not everybody wants to go through all that.
Sure. So the goal to maintain the 2 let's call them neighborhood pools that we have now, because that's essentially what they are, right?
Yes.
Is the goal to maintain the 2 neighborhood pool locations and improve them, or is it to build a new aquatic center that's going to draw more people?
It's not I don't think it's the territory that draws the people, especially not out of home manor, because I'm born and raised out the South. And I'm up here in this area, and my views are different. I'd rather be on the South Side pool any day than be in Jackson, okay? And number 1 is because you got the elderly people upset because the parking lot's too small. Okay, for instance, prime example, we take a school bus, a trash school bus, down to the pool, Monday through Friday, for swim lessons. And there's an issue every day, because they just paid $8 million for a blacktop in the building. They don't want our buses. Is that fair to the kids? It's not. But you go ahead and still have your swim lessons out the south, and you don't have no problems with you parking your buses. So I don't think it's territorial. To be honest, I don't think it's territorial. I think the pools need to stay where they are, and I think they just need an upgrade. I think it's cheaper to upgrade. If the city's broke the way they say the city is broke, I think upgrade is better than to fully remodel or try to move these pools.
So-
You're taking away from the kids. That's the only person that's gonna suffer at the end of the day is these babies.
Yeah.
I don't have nothing against the seasonal people or the old heads, whatever, because I'm up there, okay? It's all about the kids at the end of the day.
Absolutely, yeah.
And their safety, like I was talking to somebody earlier, yes, I would like to see a park ranger ride through on the weekends, like you see them ride through Reservoir Park Monday through Friday. But is it in the budget? We can make it in the budget, but it's about these babies. It's these babies, and I appreciate them putting these swim lessons together for these babies. And I think, this is something that can be consistent, and they should do every summer, because it gives these kids an opportunity to learn how to swim. Because I was a lifeguard before, and I give these lifeguards 100% credit, but 2 eyes can't see everything. And to have these babies be able to learn how to swim, the doggy paddle, whatever, that's a start. I don't think the pool should be moved. I just think upgrade. One at a time. Yeah, it's gonna cost money. They might not be able to get done at the same time. And yeah, there is some territorial issue. When one thing's going on with one pool, you got people fearing to come up here because they're thinking about something now. Keep the pools whatever, and it shouldn't be about territorial. It should be about the kids. But at the same time, this is when our parenting, adults, and everything, we need to stand up and say what's right, what's wrong. At the end of the day, it's about our babies. It's about our babies. And I understand, I heard you say it may take 12 months in your other meeting, but from the day the pool closed, we still got almost a whole month. I think it's Labor Day. Is that when you guys close the pools? Okay, if we could take Labor Day and move on, okay, we don't have to open up Memorial Day, but be ready by the 4th of July. It still gives our baby at least about 8 weeks to still swim.
Is that feasible to do it like that? Like from Labor Day to, can that be done?
Yeah, we have a project, new outdoor facility that opened. They started construction in October, and they opened about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so they got it, and it was, now they didn't have to demo the old pool, because they actually did it across the parking lot from the old pool. But yeah, they built, and they actually had a bit of a bum contractor, like the last 3 weeks, that didn't, that said they were gonna get it open by the mid-June 15th, and didn't open until July 17th, but, so yeah, it is possible to get it done.
Not knowing what you might run into.
Well, we would see there, like I said, kind of in the last meeting, is that you would demolish. You can't save anything.
Yeah,
for,
we can't
for better fortune.
upgrade those, let's be clear. That those pools are end of life.
You could use the same hole,
Yeah.
but we also wouldn't see, you probably don't need as much square footage of water. Just because that's just how pools were built back in the 60s, was just a big rectangle. And in Chambersburg, for instance, they had 13 to 15,000 square feet of water. Now they wanted to keep their long course, competitive water, and so I think we had a couple of long course lanes in there, but we came back with a little bit less square footage of water, but it's a lot more functional. When it's
And
more
there's a
fun.
huge variety of activities.
Yeah, and a lot of different areas. So you have a kids area and a teen area and a family area. And, kids can progress through the facility. They can start in the children's area and go to the middle kid age area and the teen area, and then bring back their kids when they're adults, and start all over again.
How hard is it to maintain those newer style pools that you're talking about?
The systems they have in place now are, it's all about automation, and they're They all come with a checklist of things to check every day, and off season, winterizing, and startup, and typically it's not too much of a burden, depending on the scale, obviously.
So let's talk about, we talked a little bit about competition at the last meeting and how one user there felt it was important to start back up with maybe lessons and potentially swim teams. Is that as important to this group or to this pool that we're talking about now?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's very important.
Okay.
And the reason why is because the city is giving these babies free lessons, vice versa. My son took lessons at the YMCA maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. And we're talking about $100+ So because I had it, my son had the opportunity to learn how to swim. But some of these kids don't have that opportunity.
Sure.
They don't.
So swim lessons are important, but what about competition swimming?
I think
like
they
the
should
swim
have a
team?
swim team. All my kids swim on the swim team, and the city predominantly has football and basketball, and not every child is a football or basketball
Sure.
child. One of my kids just did individual sport, and that's something that they can do over the summertime, and all of them can swim. It's from the best. And the slowest child is just you swim in your group.
Right.
So it's kind of rewarding for all the children, and gives them exercise. And it's healthy competition, especially if they swim against other teams within the county. And also, I don't know if the Y still has the pool. If they develop their own team, there's 3 teams that could be right here in the city. That would create unity. Some of the division in the city, as far as the hill and the uptown and so forth, it could just be healthier for the children to all participate in something that's positive. So I think I think it would be great.
Okay.
Well, having that component would also be like a moneymaker for the city, because I know the Dr. Zumba instructors, there's always boost classes, and usually they have some in the summer, but I don't think there's ever been one at an outdoor facility. It's usually been an indoor facility, so they have a phenomenal anchor that travels all over the world. He will be here in September, but he'll be in Central Penn, and people come from all over the tri-state, New Jersey and New York and here, just to come to see this guy to take his blues class. So they can also use a new facility that has exactly what you're talking about, to have, instructors use it, and swim clubs use it.
So you're talking about the like fitness and wellness component. Yeah. Maybe expand that program a little bit to beyond Zumba.
Yeah. Keystone Senior Games, I thought I always competed, and we used that one every thing we there, and then
But I guess what this young lady back here was saying is just that I think the reason why the pool is like getting no prep is because the city's not promoting the pool. It's like nothing. So to me, it's like, how do you know what you have if nobody's talking about it?
Right.
And so, the minute the pool opened, there should have been some big prep about it, kids should have been, like prior to school, actually breaking out for the summer flyers and things should have been sent to the schools letting them know, hey, we're gonna start swim lessons, so that kids knew that swimming was gonna start, not, you know, at the last minute, well, we're having lessons, and nobody kind of knew, you know, what was going on. And so I think that they need to really market the pool because nobody knows what's in it. My sister been there for 4 years, and I haven't seen one senior come out of that building. They complain about the music, but they never come out to see what's going on. And I don't know if there's, you know, if someone from the city, you know, come in and say, hey, we would love for you guys to come out, you know, or give the seniors a discount to come just to have swim.
And I often thought about it myself, but I'm like, 2 years ago, I busted my hindquarters, actually seeking a graphic person to do a flyer, a professional flyer. I did that on my own, and asked that the city upload it to the website. That was 2 years ago, and it never got uploaded to the website. So how am I just think that, you know, I'm an instructor at the pool. I'm not working for the city to market a program that you have that's being given to the city residents for free. Do I have to do that too? I just thought it was unfair that I sent it, I got it on time, nobody uploaded it, and so whoever comes, they're only coming because of where my sister and I have been at other fields.
Right, and talked about
But
the program.
there's nothing on the city's website.
And every year they ask, can we come back? But every year there's nothing on the website saying we're back. So, you know, it just like with the swim lessons, it's like, you know, the instructors should be, people should know who the instructors are, because a lot of these kids that are being taught by Mr. Henry, I mean, some of them have had them 20, 30 years ago. They're like in their 50s and they had Mr. Henley. So, you know, when you know who is going to be there, you'll be like, oh, Mr. Henley's great. Maybe we really need to get him. Like, I need my grandkids to be under him. But who's talking about it? Nobody.
Well, I found it on the website. I visited the mansion and I seen flyers and I seen it in the parent magazine. I don't know if you know what a parent magazine is, but they come in like different daycare centers and different schools. So that's how my 92 kids from my center got to learn to swim this summer, because I seen it in parent. I went to the mansion myself to get memberships for my own personal family, and I seen flyers. Talked to Ms. Barb, let me know when she see me bring my group down. So it was promoted. It might not be promoted for everybody, but it was out there. It really was. It was out there. It was on the website. It was the flyers. It was in the parent magazines. Because I had parents, you know, before we even walked it across my director and said, we're taking the baby swimming or whatever, you know, parents was coming, do y'all think y'all could do this learning swim? Because I work at 8 to 5, I can't get my babies there. You know, we got enough parents asking us about it because they heard it through the grapevine, they see flyers, they read the parent magazine, so I took it to my director. You know, we all got bosses. You know, she was like, y'all wanna do it? Y'all got the staff, y'all can do it. And that's it. But it was out there. It really was out there.
We have a pretty tight-knit social media, and Cornelius and Westburn, they sent it out to everybody. We all saw it. Do you live in the city? We all got it.
So I think there's two different things going on. I think one issue with trying to address better community outreach, that's one thing that we know needs to be improved throughout, you know, our area, and that's due to several reasons. I mean, not just having things posted on the city website, but being active on different platforms so that we can get it out to the biggest breadth of people possible. And then the next issue really is what these gentlemen are here to do, is really focus on, okay, what do we want our pools to look like moving forward? I know, you know, part of the marketing piece is we've had issues in the past, and you all well know that the pools may not open right on time because of some of the structural issues that are leading to, you know, our maintenance breaking down and having folks like Adam and Ms. Chapman, you know, working at the pool to make sure that they can get it up and functional. So we're looking to hopefully be able to move past that issue. So talking with these gentlemen, we can get new pools or updated pools. The issue of us not being able to know exactly when the pools are open.
Yeah, they can't
That
stop
will go away.
Yeah.
Now it will be up to city staff and, folks in the community to market the pool and because marketing the pool when you don't know when it's going to be open is very difficult to do. And it's really no fault of the folks that are doing the work. It's the fact that our pools are well past their useful life.
Absolutely.
So I think if we can really center our conversation about moving forward on how we want our pools to look at, because I know all the issues that there are with the current status of the pools, and I've known Adam my entire life. We grew up in the city together, so we talk about issues that are going on now. But now if we can look at centering those issues that we know that things that we want to see moving forward, I think that would be a very productive use of the time here, and make sure that these gentlemen know what exactly the community wants to see in pools when we are able to have the money to do that, and then make sure that our kids, and grandchildren can then still hopefully be able to use the pool, or we have a better plan moving forward.
Yeah, and with the upgrades, the pool will be able to market itself. Like,
Absolutely.
I know about, everyone knows about Little Buffalo and the different things because they made upgrades to their pools. So I think the main thing is saying, what upgrades can we do as far as making our pools more attractive to make our residents want to just go to our pools that are here rather than traveling to the surrounding areas to get their amenities.
So I would say go to what she said.
Exactly. Just like that community pool is. I live in Harrisburg. Why do I have to take my kids to the mall? Exactly what you said.
Good.
She had a good point as far as the seniors. Is there anything that can be put into the pools for the senior citizens to benefit from? I don't know if that, but reality that a lot of these people are the people who have lived here all their lives, and now they're seniors and they have nothing to show for it. So I agree that we should have something special for them.
So we've already talked a little bit about.
Well, what I'd like to see is to keep the pools as they are. I mean, just the way it is, but just upgrade them. Like whatever needs to be put, whatever needs to be done to make the pool look newer. I say the wading pool, I don't know what that is. It's just
Big hole.
a big hole for just wasp and things. And I would say get rid of that and just really just kind of take it from wherever the wading is.
Sure.
And kind of work that into like one big where it's like a gradual, we're here. And we
Yeah,
just
like
keep
a
moving.
beach entry.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
So we've talked about the fitness and wellness component with Zumba. We've talked about the competition swimming with potential swim teams. We talked about swimming lessons being absolutely vital, but we haven't touched on the recreational component, and that's some of what you're talking about right now. I think it'd be great to have George run through some of what we're seeing in terms of recreational trends. You want to run through? I don't want to steal your thunder. He's the pool expert, so.
Yeah, so the good thing about water is that it's multi-generational, and you can use the same type of water for a variety of purposes. So for instance, even the pools now, you can have water Zumba, you can have lap swim, you can have recreation swim, you can have swim lessons, you could have water walking classes, you could have classes for elderly people with arthritis. So really you have areas for children, you have areas for teens. With the diving boards, you have areas for moms, to bring kids and play, shallow water. And so that's the beauty of water, is that it is multi-generational. And what our goal is to make sure that we have something for everyone. And so all of those different age groups and user groups are covered. And so for your question with the seniors, what do they want? Well, really, the seniors want 3.5 to 4 feet of water that is 86 degrees.
And easy to get in and out.
Into. And so any new facility that we would propose would have that sort of shallow water, a designated shallow water space for aerobics and swim lessons and maybe swim team. But it would also be ADA accessible with an ADA compliant ramp, possibly a lift with ADA compliant stairs, so it's easy to get into whichever way they choose, whether if they want to walk in on a ramp, walk in on the stairs, or use a chair lift. Those are the three acceptable means of access. But then also, we would probably recommend, a heater that, would run overnight to keep the water at a comfortable temperature. A lady at our last meeting said Saturday morning the water was too cold for water aerobics, and she said when the air temp is in the 70s, the water is going to be in the 70s, right? And so that's cold, right? Most people are comfortable. The water temperature is typically 84 to 86 degrees, and so we want to make sure we keep the water comfortable. But in terms of recreational amenities, we see the zero beach entry. For little kids, we see multi-level children play structures that have a couple of slides, and they have slides that are designed for 2-year-olds, slides designed for 5-year-olds, and slides designed for 8 years and up. And so we want to see a variety. We could see a variety of those type of slides. There's different. Maybe you've seen a big lazy river. We do lazy rivers of all sizes and shapes, and so whether it's a couple of 100 feet long, it is very manageable on the operation side in terms of efficiency of lifeguard staffing, and it provides that experience, though it's not maybe as big as a full-scale water park. We see a lot of different, mentioned the water slides and the kids' play structures, the moving water, variety of elements for deep water, for low boards and high dives. They have rock climbing walls that are tilted back over the water, so the child climbs up and they just fall back in the water. Those are really popular these days, as well as crossing activities that have maybe 4 or 5 lily pads that are suspended anchored to the bottom, and they float. And there's a cargo net above, and you try to cross and not fall off. Those are things that kids really love, and it's challenging, and it's agility, and it also gets kids to be physically active. They're not just standing in the pool,
Splashing each other.
Yeah, splashing each other. And we heard at Jackson Lick in particular that there's a dunking problem, and people just come up behind you, and it doesn't matter if they know you or not. They grab you and they dunk you and they hold you under. And so hopefully a lot of these other activities will get people's minds off of the bad stuff and kind of redirect their bad tendencies and give them good tendencies, and they can play and be active. And so those are some of the variety of the amenities that we can see being incorporated. Ground sprays, little just water bubblers, that shoot out of the ground, or the wet deck, spray pads that are right next to the pool. I mentioned the top pools; those are actually still really good if they're designed properly. And so we would see, having a zero beach entry into the top pool, so it's ADA accessible, but then have a couple of water play elements for kids. Put a shade over the top so the kids don't get burned, and it provides a good area for, say, 2 to 4-year-olds to play, where they're not getting run over by the 6 and 8-year-old and 10 and 12-year-olds. And that's where we talk about, zoning an aquatic facility to have different zones for the different age ranges. Because moms, with a young 3-year-old, they don't want the 3-year-old to be run over by the hyperactive 12-year-old, and so we want to separate those two, or at least to give them the option to be in a different area of the pool. But those are some of the variety of leisure amenities that we see. And obviously the competition, the instruction, and the wellness and therapy, those can all be done in the same type of water. We just need a little bit larger areas. Maybe it's 3 lap lanes instead of 6 or 8 like you have now, but just have an area where you can have those designated activities.
As I was listening to you, it just seems like it's a lot for such a small space. Because I know what Jackson looks like. He had all these things and all these ideas. I was like, oh, I can't.
Right. Well, that's the good thing is we've done so many projects that we can actually get a lot into a smaller footprint, and it still provides a real community feel. We want to make sure that the community, we call it right sizing the community. We want to make sure it's right size. So we don't want it to be completely full on opening day, though it probably will just because it's new. But say 4 weeks after it's opened, we don't want it to be so full that people can't get in. But we also don't want to make it, design it too big that it's always empty, right? And so there's a happy medium there where we can make sure that we have a variety of activities for a variety of kids, and it's big enough to withstand some growth, but it's not so big that it's a drain on the city financially, and it's not being used.
And I'd say that every element we talk about putting in, with the exception of maybe water slides and some of the thrill stuff, is considered to do double duty. So you put in a current channel or a lazy river, you can use that for aerobics, walk against the current kind of stuff. You can shut down the pumps and just have it be still water, so you can use it for swim lessons. So it's all thought about in a way that everything does double duty, or at least, some areas of the pool may even work for 3 activities, like at the bottom of the slides, that area could work for volleyball or basketball, if the slides aren't running. So, which is another great recreation use, in water sports. The kids love to play basketball in the pool, they love to play volleyball in the pool. What's going to get people to these pools and keep them here is a variety of activities, so they don't get bored and they don't get dunked.
Well, I'm originally from Wilkes-Barre Scranton area, and as a kid, we had the Aquadome. So we had one big pool in the city, but it was year round.
So year round.
Yeah.
So in the winter, they put a dome over it, so we could still swim.
That's cool.
And stuff
Where
like
was
that.
that?
It was in Wilkes-Barre.
Okay.
They have
And
one,
so,
they have one in Hershey.
Yeah, and Derry, if I said the township of Derry has one Hershey as well, yeah.
and so, and they, and they had like music. I've never heard music playing with the exception of but that kind of keeps kids,
Yeah.
excited, engaged, and having fun and stuff like that. If they, got an updated PA system in there and actually, had music and stuff like that.
Well, I think a big part of what we do now today is also to make sure that the facilities are lighted, because we also heard that there's a vandalism problem. And we want it to be a facility that the community is proud of and that's well taken care of. And then, that way the neighbors if a neighbor's out walking at 9 o'clock at night and they see kids in there that aren't supposed to be in there, they call the cops and they get them out, the fencing that's designed now is a little bit more difficult. Now, probably kids, a 12-year-old can probably hop most kinds of fences, but there's a way to design, an iron fence so it's not as easy to climb and get into. And so there's a lot of ways to prevent some of the vandalism that, that's happening now as well.
So,
So a little lighting, maybe, because all our diving boards are at the same length. Maybe a hard dive, a slide, and your little basketball courts that they ask for, maybe at like each angle, like where your lifeguards are, like how they sit from like diagonal and the swell, whatever. I don't know, because I'm just thinking of like, I go to Little Buffalo at least once a week, and I'm just thinking, their pool is nowhere as deep as neither are the pools. They don't have 11 foot or whatever, 10 foot, whatever. They just, that one slide makes a difference. But a lot of the revenue is their state park. That's what we're forgetting too. It's a state park. So they got the grants, they got the money. But we're talking about, our city.
And I also think, as it relates to the Buffalo, the key word is little. I think it tells me that it's for little people, not really for.
I have birthday parties for every summer.
But I'm just saying, though,
17.
but
Graduation parties and everything. I don't look at the word little. It's because it's family oriented. But Horn Manor used to have, and I'm 35, I'll be 36 this year. Horn Manor Pool used to have a playground. It might have not been Harrisburg's pool, Harrisburg's playground or the pool's playground, but there was a pool. There was a playground.
Like a
I don't know if you want to call it Ivory Lane's playground or whatever, but it was on the city's property. There was a playground there. Yeah, it's on the outside. There, yeah. And there used to be picnic tables. You could have birthday parties, whatever. It's just you got a different environment. You got different people living there now. So the people makes the area also, because if you train your kids to take care of stuff, they won't take care of stuff. But if you don't teach your kids to take care of nothing, whatever. But yeah, Jackson Land is much smaller than Horn Manor Pool. The Horn Manor Pool can have a a lot more than Jackson because we're talking about capacity, size, whatever. But I think there can be some family-oriented things too at Jackson, and we don't use our baby pool. Okay, we can make that our sprinkler system.
You must be reading my mind.
Because honestly, I'm gonna tell you,
That's exactly
when
right.
my kids have to get out the pool for 30 minutes for a pool check, it's time to go home. You don't know why I want to get back in the pool because they got to get used to it. But if we got that sprout,
You mean like a spray
their
ground?
sprinkler,
Yeah.
we can keep them wet,
No
keep them
baby
going.
Yeah.
No baby pools. I mean,
I
it's
think
for
we
the
touched
babies
on that
also.
at the last meeting. Instead of doing the Todd pool, do a spray
Who's
pad.
spring? Yeah.
And, you know, then you could still have like a zero beach entry into the main pool, so there's some real shallow water for little kids too. It's kind of doing
And we
best of
have,
both worlds.
there's handicap accessible at Jackson and vice versa, Horning. So, you know, maybe put that, I don't know what the swing is called, but that disability swing, you know, for our seniors that's like on electronic chairs or don't have a regular wheelchair.
Do we? You need two ADA access
Two
points.
for as large as they are.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, the swings or the hoists are less popular. Ideally, we find a way to do two without that, like a zero beach entry and a ramp or something to that effect. But, yeah.
It boils down to all the four things that you guys talked about, we need.
Yeah.
You can't really
Right,
keep
no.
out water for Zumba and just have everything for little kids or
Yeah.
high dive.
And it's great to hear that from this group because when we hear there's no swim teams, you know, what do we automatically think? We don't need competition lanes. But if that's something that the community wants, we have to provide for that so you can build the momentum to have the programs.
And if that component was built in, I mean, that if you build it, they will come. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, if you build it, it's there, but there still needs to be somebody to take ownership of that and start a swim team at each site, right? Or a city swim team. I mean, if we can build the Taj Mahal pool, but if there's nobody there to operate it the right way,
Well, I'm not
to set
saying-
up programs, to set up the teams and
Well,
all
I'm just
that,
saying that
it's not gonna
that
happen.
probably could come down the road, but if the, you know, you know, there's always use for that because
Mm-hmm.
there's always swim teams looking to rent
Yeah, typically.
facilities to do that.
Although a lot of, I mean, in my experience, and maybe I'm way off on this, but they're looking for indoor space,
Well, there's a lot of,
so they can train through the
yeah, so
through the
there's a
winter.
lot of, cause I used to swim from Harrisburg, so I used to swim like outside the city. So, like I've been around to all the pools in there, from Lashmere, Devon Crest, Anvil, Cleona, Hershey. So a lot of those swim teams that are developed within those pools, you have what you call like your novice league, which is kids who only swim in the summertime. And then you have people who develop and say, you know, I want to be more year round. So then you'll have people swim at the local ones around here, the West Shore YMCA. There's not too many indoor facilities that kind of house those bigger teams anymore, besides like the West Shore YMCA. There's not too many on the East Shore. I know a lot of people are familiar with Rusty Owens. Rusty Owens, he was a swim coach at the old middle school years ago, but he taught a lot of, you know, our parents how to swim. A lot of people who are still in the neighborhood, he just invested time into it. But I think where the disconnect happened was when we did have a pool at Harrisburg Middle School, this is even before my time, there was no type of transition to like a Harrisburg City Summer League. There was none of those pools kind of fit kind of those designs. So he used to run out his swim lessons and swim teams through like Colonial Pool, Devon Crest, and those type of areas.
So are there aquatics programs in the local schools?
No.
And that's
So there's
that's the part of the component that's missing.
Yeah.
Is you don't have your high school varsity or JV or freshman, you know, that feeder program. Even if you have a feeder program here, where they go, if you have great swimmers, they're gonna have to go to a different school. They're not gonna go here for high school.
Right.
Because our school district does not have a swim program.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what.
And that's what hurts sometimes.
And you also don't
Sort of feeder.
have the kids thinking about
Right.
competitive
Right.
swimming because it's not in the school.
And that's why they go back into sports like football
Mhm.
or basketball, because there still is a feeder.
Sure.
And they go up.
Yeah.
We do have a feeder here for baseball, but you don't recognize it. There's all recognition for Harrisburg High School on the male side is either football, basketball, or track.
Sure.
Well,
No matter what.
but we are in the state of Pennsylvania, and you know, you can ask any one of these high school athletic directors. They're all going to tell you the same thing, that football's king. This is
Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And we're in that state country.
That's exactly what happened to me. Like, for me, like, I started late, and I was like a neighborhood school swimmer, and then someone actually taught me, but when I went to my high school, like freshman year, because there wasn't a team, you know, that's what kind of let it off. But I think I think that's a different component, different conversation, because, like, for instance, the Cape Curtin YMCA, they're up in the air of what they want to do with their indoor facility. There's been talk concrete in that to maybe turf, but I think their board is going back and forth with what the office decision is. I think that's greater than whatever the city is going to decide.
Right. Interesting.
How about the concession stand?
How about the concession stand?
It's pretty whacked.
What's that?
It's pretty whack right now.
We heard that, we heard that last time, and that it's contracted out now, you know, with an outside vendor.
Is it?
Because there was theft problems, isn't that right? And so, but yeah, typically we would see, you know, designating maybe 400 square feet, depending on a lot of it is determined on the size of the facility and amenities there. And so the number of people that attend and the amount of money they're willing to pay to get in, and then the distance they're willing to drive is directly dependent on what the facility looks like. And so right now, I would probably say, based on your pools, just from our experience, that there's not a lot of people that would drive, say, 30 miles to come to Hall Manor Pool. There's probably not a lot of people that would drive 15 miles, and maybe not a lot of people that would drive 5 miles to come to Hall Manor, because it's just a pool, right? But the second that you put in a new facility, you will get some out of towners. That's sometimes when we talk about resident versus non-resident rates, because the Harrisburg residents are the ones that are going to pay for the pool through their taxes, and then the out of towners, well, they should pay for the pool too, so maybe they pay $2 more or something. But anyways, the size of it's directly dependent on how far they'll drive, how long they'll stay, how much they'll pay to get in. But then also, how long they stay is going to dictate how much food they buy. And so if it's a pool that you're going to stay an hour and a half to 2 hours at, maybe they'll buy a Snickers bar and a bag of chips. But if it's a pool they're going to stay 4 to 5 hours at, well, then they might need
chicken fingers and fries.
Yeah, or hot dog and chips and a fountain drink, something like that. But we would definitely see some allocation of space to food and beverage concession stand.
And again, that comes down to the operation. Is that the city of Harrisburg managed and run operation, or does it stay as a third-party vendor that you just lease the concession stand space to?
Is that in your study as far as the revenue that we could generate?
Yeah, we can look at that, sure.
Is that going to be a part of what we can afford?
It's not. I don't think concessions is a huge moneymaker, but we will analyze that, and
you can at least cover your. You should at least be able to cover your cost and make a little bit of money.
Yeah.
What they cooking.
And we'll look at the we're looking at the bathhouses too, in terms of what kind of improvements do they need. So the concession stand fits within that piece of the study. We'll find a spot for it, determine what we need to do to even build it. We'll even put funds for the equipment in there, whether that equipment is purchased on day one or down the road can be decided. Yeah, we do look at it as part of the study. What else?
Any other comments, questions?
Oh, just one that had, when we were talking about the swim teams, but then you were also talking like the beach thing. So, we're talking about the existing rectangle, or can it be an L shape?
The possibilities, the Jackson Lick site is pretty tight. right? We've got the apartment buildings
Yeah,
around it.
it's just a
So
square thing.
that one, we have a limited footprint to work with. At Hall Manor, there's a little bit more, we could be a little more creative with the shape of the pool. I'd say, you know, the only value to the current pools is that they're an existing hole in the ground. So if we're going to build a new pool, we'll look to leverage some of that. I mean, those are going to get demolished, and we'll use that hole for some of the pool, but we're not locked into that shape for any reason. So, you know, we've creatively integrated a zero beach entry with lap lanes a couple of times. So they tend to be separate areas of the pool, and there's a lot of times there's a wall between them, or like a peninsula, if you will, of land,
Right.
of pool deck.
That
So-
seems like something that we should probably, if we can afford to do, because, again, not only for the lap swimming, but you have the adult swim, and you
Sure.
don't want to cram these elderly people like from 10 in the morning, you know, to noon time, so that there's always something, space available without kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense to think of the pool as not like one big body of water like they used to when they designed them in the 1960s, but several areas for different activities, right? That can be adult swim in the lap lanes for, you know, an hour during the day, and the kids still have plenty of stuff to do at other places in the pool.
And if you can't do both, at least one of them, then whoever wants to be on swim team can go to that pool.
Right, yeah. I mean, there may be a good chunk of the day when there's swim practice.
Now, when they get a membership to the pool, is it to both pools or just one? Both, so they could, say for instance, if one couldn't get the whole lap thing going on, they can actually go to the other pool.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that at the last meeting. Like, does one of them have the competition lanes, but both of them have the same recreational amenities? You know, knowing that we've got more space to work with at Hall Manor, maybe that's where the competition lanes are. You know, and that anybody in the city can use those competition lanes. But in terms of the recreation side of it, both of the pools are very similar, so that one doesn't feel like they got gypped by something that the other pool got.
This is my last question. Okay, but the fact that you two gentlemen are here, what is it saying to the director and to the council folks that this is moving forward? Like next year, we're gonna have some brand new facilities.
Absolutely. That's not.
So the point of the study,
So we just don't study for about a year or two.
no, we're you know, this process is going to go pretty quickly, and we're going to come back with some options for the public to comment on. We're going to analyze the financial aspects of those options, but the intent of the study is to first and foremost determine what's wrong with the existing pools, and we got a long list. Second is to determine what are our options for renovating. Well, repairing is usually the first option, but I'm pretty confident that these pools will take a lot of work to repair to get them usable for another. You're not going to get another 20 years out of repairing them. So then you're left with renovating them, which is a more substantial level of construction work. It's a little bit higher cost. That's going to extend the lifespan out probably to 20 years, or we can replace them. So we're going to have 3 options for each site. I don't think repair is going to really be an option, but we're going to look at what the costs are associated with that. That's going to inform council what's the way forward, right? What's the way, what do we do? How do we get the money to do one of these options to keep aquatics programs in the city?
Yeah, so our goal is to provide the city leadership with the information they need to make the best decision, you know, for the community. And so it's, sometimes they'll ask us for a recommendation, sometimes they don't, but typically we don't recommend. We lay it out and say, here's what you have, and here's where you can go. And these are the pros and cons for each of these, the repair, the renovation, or the replacement options. You know, this one you'll spend $3 million and you'll get 5 years. This one you might spend, say, 8 to 10, and you'll get 10 to 15 years. This one maybe you spend 8 to 12, and you get 30 to 40 years, right? And so typically once we get through the study, the best decision is fairly readily apparent when we're looking at old pools and going to new pools. But Our goal is to provide that information so the city knows how to move forward in the best way they can, and to hopefully get facilities that will last another 30 to 40 years for the city residents.
And then to that point, and I don't know if that's answered by the gentleman or by Kevin, so I think the question that you really get at is what is the timeline? So we have these meetings today. When is the follow-up meeting? And then when will we see the recommendations to city leadership and make that document available to residents
public,
so that folks
sure.
have that opportunity to take a look at it? And I don't know. I personally just don't know what the timeline is, so that's why.
We do have a schedule outlined, and I don't have that with me, or I would run through it tonight. But we'll get it to Parks and Rec and make sure that we're communicating. And I think we should probably announce the second round of public meetings as quickly as possible so that everybody can get it on their calendars. We're going to meet with the pool committee a couple of times between now and then and talk about some of the options, talk about some of the potential amenities to include at each site. At the last meeting, we talked about doing a public survey. We've used online surveys to kind of extract some more information from people that couldn't be here tonight, give them a chance to voice their opinions. So we'll talk to Kevin about doing that as well.
At the second public meeting, do you guys come back with concepts?
Yes, we do.
Is one pool going to last longer than the other in the present condition?
What's that?
Is one pool going to last longer?
Do you mean like Manor Hall versus?
How much life is left? They both-
I mean, so we'd see. We're not doing a full assessment yet, but we would say that
Renovate one of them?
they did some work with the expansion joints at Hall Manor.
Repair work.
Some just repair work, but we would see both of them, being on like one critical failure away from being done. I mean, even the little stream of water at Jackson Lit, where is that water coming from?
Well, we
It's coming.
just heard that stopped too. So now where's the water going?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so now instead of going up, it's going out. So that's a hard question. I would probably say that there might be 3 to 5 years left, but also I could definitely see that when you start up for next summer and you put water in it, that you get some hydrostatic pressure and the bottom pops up. You never know when the pools get this old. It's always a surprise.
You're on borrowed time
when that
for both of
last.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you mentioned it was all the sinkholes up there. Did you
Yeah.
saw? Yeah. Outside the pool,
I would say, as far as like the grand scheme of even once the final plan comes out, just like we're doing a plan for this, there was the final plans coming out for Reservoir Park, and there's all type of plans due to delay, of this thought process. So with these plans, what we're able to do is kind of leverage them to say, now we know what we want, so we kind of leverage them for grant funding and possibly, looking at other different streams of matching funding for, federally, state, or even nonprofits would be willing to kind of help this initiative. I would say there's a lot of needs inside the city right now, so I don't want anyone to have the false pretense of saying like, hey, once this plan is done, the city's going to pour into the money. I'm going to say, it may not even happen within the last 2 years of our council. But things can happen. But once you do have a plan, you're able to kind of present it to different people, and you're able to market that plan.
The first step is
Start
getting the plan
allocating money.
together, yeah.
But if
Right.
you don't have a plan, that no one knows what we want, we don't have a design, we have nothing to go off of. But there's different funding campaigns that can be made. We're talking about a big expense, for outdoor facilities as used seasonally. So with other needs inside the city, we have to make sure, everything prioritized. This is very, very important to me, and I know how important it is to, the city, and especially their kids who use the pool every year. So, but we have to kind of strategically go about, once we receive the plan, know our options and know the costs of how to move forward.